A snowstorm hit the New York metropolitan area on November 15, 2018, at the start of the afternoon commute. Within an hour, roads were covered in sheets of ice. Thousands of drivers reported it took them 3 to 5 hours to get home. Whether it's unexpected mid-November ice, a quick-moving snow squall, rain, wind, and flooding, deciding how many tons of salt and plows to prepare, or figuring out when the swells down the shore will peak, millions of Americans turn to the National Weather Service for information, for work, and for play. And the meteorologist at the National Weather Service turned to Skywarn Spotters for verification from volunteers such as this group in Wayne, New Jersey, who attended a free training session last September for residents of Passaic County and Bergen County.
Primary thing that spotters do for the Weather Service is you provide us ground truth information. I only have so many tools at my disposal out on Eastern Long Island to know what's happening in a certain area, but I rely on the volunteers to tell me what is actually happening. Usually we have a pretty good idea what's happening. It's the spotters who verify what's happening for us. When we issue warnings and advisories and products, we actually verify them. And the way we verify them is by taking those spotter reports that you guys send us and checking our list. We have criteria we have to meet. So the reports that we get help verify our warnings.
According to the National Weather Service, there are about 300,000 spotters nationwide and 1,600 locally who send information to 122 field offices across the nation, including Brookhaven National Lab on Eastern Long Island, which covers the New York tri-state area and is staffed 24/7 by about 30 meteorologists and technicians. When is the most important time of the year for weather?
Occurs in May, June, July, and August, which makes sense because those are the hottest months that we have. And then the hourly distribution of weather, and you can see that this is generally during the afternoon and evening hours.
George Sabbi is a retired lighting designer. He's a radio operator and the Skywarn Coordinator for about 450 spotters in Bergen and Passaic.
The Weather Service needs their eyes and ears out there in the public, knowing exactly what's going on, because in most cases, like here in New Jersey, the forecast offices are 75 miles away from where we're sitting tonight. So they can't just look out their window and see the local weather in Wayne, Passaic County, New Jersey.
Sabbi says volunteer spotters represent a cross-section of the community, including
amateur radio operators are a key point because they can communicate even when other systems aren't working. Office of Emergency Management personnel, other public service personnel, community emergency response teams. All of these people have an interest in helping the community and, of course, helping the National Weather Service with direct ground truth information during, before, and even after severe weather has struck.
Gordon Beattie is a network researcher for AT&T. He's been a weather spotter for about 20 years. He's also an amateur radio operator who says his interest started as a student at Xavier High School in Manhattan. Weather spotting can be specific to an event.
With the Passaic County Sheriff's Department and the Office of Emergency Management, we provide communications support for the Passaic County Fair. It's on top of Garrett Mountain, it's an elevated space, and it's exposed to the weather. And so very often we will have George, who you met, George Sabbi, radio to us current conditions. We'll also be watching the radar, and we'll actually have probably within about a 2-minute interval when the mountain's going to be overtaken by a thunderstorm or a rainstorm, things like that during the Passaic County Fair. And that way we can safeguard the public, we can help the vendors.
Indeed, a spotter can give early warning to event coordinators.
It was Sunday evening, and we were watching the fair march in on us. And so we had to make the decision as to whether we were going to close down the fair at 11 as scheduled or maybe 8:30 or 9. And that decision was made to be an earlier time because we saw the depth of the storm, and it wasn't dissipating over the mountains of West Jersey and eastern Pennsylvania as it was marching forward toward us.
Reports from spotters all across the country have triggered warnings because Doppler radar is a great tool, but it's not the same as a person on the ground with his 2 eyes observing the weather.
Ultimately, the job of spotter training is to gain knowledge, and to be alert.
By the end of the class, we want you guys to be able to recognize a couple of things. We want you to recognize the threat of hazardous weather, safely observe any hazardous weather that may be important to the Weather Service, and then in a timely and safe manner, we want you to be able to report that to the Weather Service.
With Severe Weather Awareness Week underway and National Hurricane Awareness Week following, the job of the Skywarn Weather Spotter is more important than ever. Reporting from Wayne, Caesar Darius.